Greetings, teachers. I'm here to talk to you about assignment 3 for the graduate students in our class. So the following message will hopefully clarify all the requirements and the key elements of that assignment. So the first and maybe the most important message is that you may do assignment 3 directly related to assignment 2. So if you had a formal assessment that you offered to the students at the end of those two lessons or in the middle of those two lessons, you are welcome to use that particular assessment for this assignment. If the assessment that you used for those two lessons doesn't seem to apply to this assignment, then you can create one for a lesson that you didn't necessarily teach, but that may be something you could use in the future. So the first thing you have to do is, I'm going right from the rubric and you can access this in Canvas. The assessment plan for the lesson is clearly linked to the lesson learning target and the lesson performance goal or the lesson objective. So the assessment that you're describing as you open this assignment, you have to put in your objective, sort of that breakdown that you've already done for assignment 2. So the skills, the content, and the DOK from the chart that we access online. That's the first step. Describing the assessment and making sure it's linked to, as you describe it, the learning target, performance, in other words, the objective for the lesson. The next part of this assignment is something you've already done, but you're going to have to go a little deeper into it, I suspect, for this assignment. It states, bilingual learners. The assessment plan includes multiple is the key word here, supports for bilingual learners, and their access score levels are specifically addressed. So you have to tell what access score levels you are addressing, but then multiple supports. So if you didn't do multiple supports for your lesson plans, here is where multiple supports must be stated for students being able to complete this assessment for the lessons you already did or for a new lesson that you had to create for this assignment. Next, you have to clearly indicate the supports for exceptional learners, those students who are on 504 plans, those students who have identified special needs, etc. And again, the key word here is multiple supports. So you're looking at your UDL website and deciding which supports you could incorporate. Keep in mind, these supports are for the assessment plan, not for the lesson, although they would be in there, but for the assessment plan itself. Now, the next part of this assignment 3 is dealing with a rubric or checklist. What are you using to evaluate student work, the assessment they handed into you at the end of the lesson or lessons? So this is really important. So if you're, for instance, if you're only asking for an exit card and for students to fill out a sentence, what are you looking for in that sentence? This has to be clearly stated in a checklist or in a simple rubric. And remember, if you do a rubric, we're focusing on quality and not on quantity. So you don't want to be saying things like, writes 3 sentences to whatever. You want to be saying things like, demonstrates their clear understanding of. I hope this makes sense. And remember, all of this work is directly related to what you read in Chapuis. Now, this next piece is something you may or may not have done already for your lesson plans. I'm guessing you probably didn't, but you will have to do it for this assignment. You must give samples of student work. And instead of 3 samples like they often talk about in Chapuis, I'm looking for 2 samples. One that is advanced / proficient. Exactly what you're looking for, you will write out. And then one that needs improvement, you will write out. Now, there's a asterisk to this part of the assignment. If you've already collected this assessment when you taught your 2 lessons, you don't have to write it out. choose one of those to type out as an example of an proficient / advanced sample. Choose one of them as a sample that needs improvement and offer a brief explanation of that. So you have a choice. Either you're creating them or you're using ones you've already accessed. The next part of this assignment deals with effective feedback. This is very important. If you've already given feedback because you taught the lessons and you gathered an assessment and you offered feedback, then describe the kind of feedback you offered. And if your feedback does not meet the standards that were discussed in Chapuis or that I put on in the PowerPoint in class, feedback that allows the students to think about how to improve their work and not necessarily giving them the answer, which is key. You need to write out exactly what you are going to say in the feedback, what you're going to write. If you're meeting with students individually, how you're setting up those meetings. So this is very important to demonstrate your understanding of effective feedback. And I hope you realize I'm not talking about grades, points, scores here. I'm talking about feedback in order that every student in your class is successful in the learning process. This next part is very important as well. So when you taught those lessons, you may not have done this, but now you're going to have to describe what you should have or could have done related to this issue. And if you're doing a separate learning, now's the time to describe it. You must discuss how your students are doing self-assessment around this one assessment that you introduced at the beginning of the assignment. And you have to discuss how you're getting your students to do peer assessment, obviously through collaborative work. So these sections are critical to your demonstration of assessment planning. Now that you've heard an overview of the entire assignment 3, I hope you will take time to really think about this and to do an excellent job. I'm not looking for a good job. Do an excellent job of describing this assessment plan, leaving no stone unturned to make sure everything is in detail. And please self-assess and make sure you have clearly explained each criteria in the rubric I have offered you for assignment 3. If you have additional questions, we will talk about this in our class, or you can email me and we set up probably a phone meeting to discuss any clarification. Also, I can answer your emails. So I'm expecting you to really demonstrate your deep understanding of the assessment process. Thank you.